The funny story is I had like 3 days to prepare the talk because it was not planned, so please bear with me. In this session, we will take like a brief look at what's coming next, like this year into the Angular world. So, as you expected, like this is Sebastian. This is the original speaker for this talk. So unfortunately, he couldn't make it to Finland. So I am backing him up. And you could also say hi to Tara, which is like she's behind him. So yeah, I'm Wassim. I work as a developer advocate at a French company called Sphere. So that's my day job, and the rest of my time is spent like bridging the gap between the Angular team and also the Google Assistant team, and us developers. So that's mean like making feedback in both ways, and then stuff like that, and also being member of the former Angular Universal team. Who has heard about Angular Universal project? Okay, quite a few, yeah. So now it's part of the Angular core. And also member of the ESM module team working group at the Node.js Foundation, where we basically discuss and decide how ESM modules should look like in like upcoming version of Node.js. And my focus is especially about the interop between browser and Node.js. And I also cover a couple of open source libraries. I'm so excited to be here because that's the first time I'm in Finland. Like, I like to travel a lot, but this is the first time I came here, so I'm really excited about it. So thanks to the ngViking organizer for inviting me. And if you want to catch up later, talk and discuss about topics, or beyond, just like catch me after the talk, or check me out on Twitter, Manikinik. All right, so before we start, I got a question for you. Like, who remembers the first, like the release date of Angular v2? Not you, Pascal. Yeah? Yeah, what's the date? Yeah, all right, that's it. It was, yeah, almost like 2 years ago. So, so yeah, time has passed by, and since then we had lots of improvement, lots of features for v2, v4, and now v5. So this talk is focusing about v6 and beyond. So we will touch a couple of things about like the next build system that the Angular team is experimenting, which is called Bazel. We will cover like briefly schematics, the Angular material CDK. We'll also talk about what's happening in the Observables world. And we will like really speak briefly about Angular elements and the upcoming ngIV renderer. Some of these topics have already been covered in this conference by other speakers, so I'm not going to explain everything, from scratch. So please check those talks on on YouTube for more details. I'm gonna just explain what's happening and what's coming. So first, Bazel. So inside Google, there is a tool called Blaze, which like every Googlers use for every product. So they've been using it for more than a decade to build like all of Google projects and products. So Google has decided to open source this tool under the name of Bazel. Oh. And so this tool is being used not only by Google, but also by external companies such as Dropbox or Stripe or Pinterest. And the website, by the way, is bazel.build. If you want to have more details and you check out the documentation on how to get started. But what's interesting about this tool, first of all, its speed. Bazel is able to do like fully incremental builds and subsequent builds, having a round trip cycle development really short, and they're like 2 seconds. And since it's capable, like it's able to use like distributed build and caching, this even makes builds and like production builds and development builds even faster. No matter how is like the size of your teams or your code base of your project, with Bazel you will be able like to scale easily and fastly during like the iterations of your project. And also the thing I like a lot about Bazel is you can build, like for instance, if you have a Java or Go backend, you can build at the same time those technologies and like front-end technologies such as SAS or TypeScript. It's really, like say, polyglot tool, so you just need to specify what to build and not how to build. Just need, okay, I need to build this project, this package, and Bazel will take care of the rest. And the most exciting news, like recently, is that the Angular team is now using Bazel to build Angular itself, like the core framework. And also the material team is using Bazel to build, like currently, some of the parts, some of the components. But I hope they will move everything from like script builds to Bazel. So the current status of Bazel, what's already done by the team, is this fast development round trip, which is really under 2 seconds, and they're really super happy about it. They also managed to get bundling using tools such as Rollup and Amplify to package production build, and they also managed to like package libraries and use them across projects. So we have some notes from Rob Olmold and Mishko Evry about this, and they're super excited about it. So this is gonna land into like for us, for developers, and I really hope we will get the same like 2 seconds development round trip in our projects. What's coming next for Bazel would be making sure that using Bazel you'll be able to package an Angular library. And I'm sure Yuri has mentioned this yesterday in his talk, so please check it out. And also currently code-splitting is under development, so expect this to land in by the way, the package is under @Angular/Bazel if you want to check the npm package. So as I said, Bazel is being experimented by companies such as Stripe and others. And if you are interested in experimenting the tool inside your corporation, please check out this link. By the way, I've prepared a tweet. All right, so tweet done. So you will check the slides, and inside slides you will have the link. So this doc explains everything about the current status of Bazel, and I think somewhere there is the email address of Alex Eagle, who is in charge of this project inside Google. Next, schematics. So again, this subject has been covered yesterday by Manfred. But I'm just gonna like give a quick recap, what schematics are and why they are useful for us as developers. So basically with schematics, they are made for the Angular CLI. Who's used the Angular CLI? Okay, quite a lot, like more than half. That's great news. So basically all of you know that using the Angular CLI you are able to like scaffold your application to get started like really quickly, your Angular app, and then continuously like generate component services and whatever. So for each task, like generating, building, and repeating, the Angular CLI is using some defaults commands, some defaults, let's say, arguments to scaffold and to generate what you ask for. And like recently, the team has managed to extract these default arguments, let's call them such that, and you using the schematics, which is a new like we call it new API provided by the CLI, you will be able either like keep using the defaults or completely replacing them with yours, with your preferences. For instance, you could, let's say, create a schematic to generate your custom, like internal corporation libraries following your internal guidelines and best practices. Or you could just mix and match, like extend the default arguments provided by the CLI and replace some of them with yours. Starting from v1.7 of the Angular CLI, there is this new command called update, ngupdate, which is, I mean, we're already under 1.7, so it's already doing this. You can use this command to update the NPM dependencies of your project, as you can see on the screenshot. And what you will be able to do next is, and that's what the team is working on, you will be able to even upgrade some of the code actually to the newer version of like any API. Like if there's any breaking changing, or for instance, last time we had the Angular material team switch from MD to MAT CSS class extension prefix, so you could use, for instance, a schematic to upgrade this quickly and easily. Or you could, for instance, let's say, write a schematic to upgrade all your modules to a lazy loadable modules in one single command. That would be a really dream, right? I mean, for all of us. Hans from the Angular CLI team has wrote a really great article on Medium about this topic, so please check it out on blog.angular.io. Next is the CDK, Component Developers Kit. So this is a new set of component provided by the Angular Material team. So who's in the audience is using Angular Material? Okay, like half, let's say half. So you basically, like, we use those components, and they are like predefined styles, predefined UX, and this is completely normal because this is the implementation of the material design specifications made by the designers at Google. So Material 2, which is the project under Angular, is the implementation of these specs. And the team provides us with a complete set of components ready to use, and there are also upcoming components. But if you wanna like implement your own component, you usually end up using like other tools and reinvent the wheel, recreate everything from scratch. For example, if you want to make, let's say, like an overlay or drag and drop, you will have to implement everything, every logic again and again. So the Angular Material team will provide us with this CDK, and it's basically the component without any CSS, without any styles, only the logic. So you will use the logic and implement your own style on top of it. So this is a really exciting project. So I really recommend you, if you're into, if you like building widgets, for instance, inside your corporations, please check it out also. Jeremy from the Material team has also wrote a blog about this topic on the same Angular.io blog. Observables. Who is an observable developer in the audience? The rest of you, who is developer on the audience? Okay, so not all of you are developers, obviously. So that was a trick question, because every Angular developer is an observable developer, because almost everything inside the Angular core is streams and observables. whether you're using like forms, HTTP, or RxJS, and also for those who use in NGRX, these all under the hood uses observables. And since like also recently, maybe we have the day, yeah, December, we have a new proposal to make the observables baked inside the browser, like make it in standard actually. So this proposal was made by Ben Lesh, who works on the RxJS team, and basically the idea behind this is to just make observables a standard, so you don't need like anymore like incorporate any polyfill into your project and have everything like baked in, which will also like unify like of course all libraries like RxJS, CycleJS, and others will use the same standard, the same API provided natively by the browser. And of course, we'll ship less code to the browser, right? So, which will make our app renders faster and loads faster. So you will, in the future, if if the standard reaches the end, you will be able to use these operators like natively from the browser. So imagine you could request an image tag, an image element, and unload, subscribe to the stream, and then do whatever you want. Who likes this? All right. So those people who raise their hand, please check out this GitHub issue. You will have the link in the slides. And please watch it or start it to show us that you agree and you like and you want this proposal to land in a browser. And also if you know someone that works on a specific browser team, or if you know other developers, developers from other community, please share the news with them and tell them what you think about this topic. All right, Angular elements. So, if you saw Pascal's talk yesterday about Angular elements, he pretty much covers everything about this thing. So, I'm just gonna basically recap what's coming up next. So basically, Angular elements is the project code name where you will be able to take your Angular components or even your Angular applications and publish them as custom elements. And if you don't know custom elements, is one API which is part of the web component specifications, which are basically HTML imports and templates, plus shadow DOM and custom elements. So if you are used to if you are using the article element in HTML or the video element or the input, so those are basically custom element. There are elements baked by the spec, but now we are, as developers, we are able to build our own custom elements. So in other ways, you will be able to implement your Angular components and then publish it or share it with other developers so they can use it on other web technologies or even just JavaScript, because this is only JavaScript. Who can tell me where is the Angular component inside this cheeseburger recipe? That's only actually 3 questions, so I can drink some water. Actually, you can't, because from the outside, they're all custom elements. They're all HTML custom elements. And that's the good thing about Angular elements, because you can share your custom elements with the rest of the world. So from the outside, it's only HTML element. It's HTML. It's really standard. But from the inside, it's the Angular context. But me as a developer, if I use your custom element built and packaged with Angular element, I don't have access to Angular. I don't know. It's a black box. I don't care what technology did you use to build it. I just want it to do the stuff that it's supposed to do. So yeah, from the outside, it's just custom element. So to be able to do this, the current proposal is to use the register as custom elements function, and you give it or your component that you want to package as custom elements. If you want to know more, like in addition to Pascal's talk, this is the first, I mean, the original talk made by Rob at Angular Connect, so you could give it a try. And also, this is a Angular project maintained by Rob, where he basically took every, like some, not every, but some Angular material component and like packaged them and published them as custom elements. So this is a live demo actually. So you have the link at the bottom. So the current status, like the proof of concept has been made. So now the Angular team is confident about the implementation. So now they need to use it inside the Angular.io. I call this like the sandbox, this website, because they're experimenting every new feature. So if you're curious about Angular, just read the source code of the website. And then once this is done, we hopefully will have the official release. And also, my friend Vincent has wrote a blog post about this topic where he basically maintained an up-to-date, like what's happening with this project. So you could read his post as well. So I think that's the last point, ngIV, which is the upcoming new renderer for Angular. Basically, the goals of this new project, of this new implementation, is to make the renderer even smaller, which by itself will make our applications smaller in size, in terms of size. And also, we will have a much simpler log stack, like error stack, so we can debug easily, know what's happening, instead of seeing zones everywhere. And hopefully, we will have a faster compilation because of the new implementation of the new API. And all of this, so this will be non-breaking changes, like from our perspective, of course, they will implement everything from the inside, but from the outside, there will be no breaking changes. So the current roadmap, we had the hello world, and then next, the Angular team will make sure there will have a compatible API, so we don't have any breaking changes. And then they will try to validate this new implementation inside, like within Google, within, like they mentioned, probably like 100 applications inside Google. And then once they're okay with this, we will have an official release. Rob has sent this tweet in February, where he managed to have a built a bundle with under 3, let's say 4 kilobytes of size. But this is just only a proof of concept. This person from the community members, I think his name is Harrington, has wrote a really great introduction to this new renderer. So I really enjoyed reading his blog because actually I don't know if he's a girl or boy, so he or she has gone very into details of the implementation just by checking the commits and the pull requests from GitHub. So if you're curious, please read his or her blog. So we've talked about the new upcoming build system, which hopefully will land into the Angular CLI. So for us developers, this should be transparent for us. Just run ng build, and the magic would happen. We also covered briefly the Angular schematics. So you should or could use this new API to build your own custom generated files, like CSS or whatever. You could actually, I didn't mention, but you could use the schematics to generate anything, to scaffold anything, not only Angular components. Like if you know Yeoman, that should be the same thing. And also for those who build widgets, but of course for anyone else, the CDKs are getting bigger and bigger, and they will be available soon. And also please start the issue on GitHub and share the news with your friends and your community. And also just be excited about the upcoming Angular elements, because that's really a significant improvement in the Angular world, basically, because you will be able to just write components, web components with Angular. And then under the hood, we will have a new great and awesome yet new implementation of the renderer, but that's for like really good reasons, which will be able to like make our applications even smaller. So for now, what you could do is check out this website, v6.angular.io, which is only a redirection to the v6 milestone on GitHub, if you are curious about what's coming in v6 of Angular. Thank you, everyone. The slides, this is the URL to all my slides, actually, and if you check out the tweet, you will have the link to this direct slide. Thank you, guys.